All right, let's talk a little ball. Let's talk a little. I actually want to talk a little game day too. I think PFT does as well. Let's start with game day. Let's start with game day. You've been doing the show forever. It's an unbelievable show. It's I think it actually might be the show that the most like the highest approval of any show out there. Everyone loves game day. No one doesn't like game day. What is your favorite college campus to go to? And what's like the craziest like one-off, like maybe one that you've been to that you haven't been back to that you'd like to go back to?
25 years is for me. I don't know where you guys were 25 years ago, probably elementary school, but I've been doing this for a long time. When we first started doing this, there'd be like probably you've seen your show grow. There'd maybe a couple hundred people around our set. Corso didn't even put on a mascot head. He would just find somebody around the set had a crazy hat. He'd tell somebody to go grab it. And then things changed in the Michael Vick era. Frank Beamer was the first coach to kind of get what game day was. And he was the first coach to recognize it and really embrace it and challenge the Hokie Nation. When game day comes to Virginia Tech and Blacksburg, we're going to bring as many fans as we can. And we had like 20,000 fans show up one time to a college game day. And that was like late 90s, maybe around 2000. That just changed everything from that point on, because he was the first coach to recognize what it could do. It's basically an infomercial. If you include Sports Center and everything we do on Friday and Saturday, it's like a 48-hour infomercial for the school. Yeah. So he got it. It changed everything. Where I love to go, I mean, I'm from the Big Ten. I grew up, in Ohio. Obviously, if you eliminate Columbus, where's home, I love going to places like Wisconsin. I love going to Penn State in the Big Ten because they're radical. They love college football there. They're passionate. I just love going to places that are passionate about the sport. The SEC, I mean, it's pretty much interchangeable. You go to anywhere down there, Tuscaloosa, Athens, Baton Rouge, they're all kind of – Eugene, Oregon would shock you guys. I mean, maybe now they have more of a reputation. When I first went out to Eugene, Oregon, I couldn't believe it was dark out, 6 a.m, and there'd be 10 or 15,000 people as far as you could see. So those are the obvious places. And some of the fun ones, you guys, are like JMU,
there you go.
Fargo, North Dakota, places like that when they told me we were going there initially, I was like, what are we doing? And then you go there and the entire town shows up. We're in downtown Fargo. I mean, so those are the ones that typically stand out when we go to places like that.
Yeah, Harrisonburg is the Paris, France of Western Virginia. That's what they often say about it. It's a great place to visit.
Yeah.
Is there something in the contract with College Game Day where you have to have Kenny Chesney on a certain amount of times per year? Is it like
if we call Luke Bryan now? Yeah.
It's like we don't have a guest picker.
Yeah.
Might as well call Kenny up. He's got nothing to do.
Kenny, Eric Church, Luke Bryan. You're right. Yeah. He's been on a ton. No, I just think, we try. I don't even know who comes up with the ideas. I know we have an entire department. They try to get creative and trying to come up with different people. It's challenging, man. I mean, we're even offering them a free plane ride to come fly over. And this is back in the days when we were, when the show was traveling. Now we just zoom people in. Bill Murray's been on a bunch. Will Ferrell's been on a bunch. And it seems that we definitely have our fair share of country music stars, for sure.
Is there one campus that you've been on where either you or somebody else on College Game Day has had either a bad take or an aggressive take about that school, and you get there and you're actually like a little bit fearful because the fans are like screaming at you a little bit louder than normal, like they might start throwing stuff at you? Have you ever had to put up the like the chicken wire that they use in Blues Brothers?
Yeah. We have chicken wire. It's like an invisible net that we have around the entire thing because people used to throw things, mainly at Corso, but I would get friendly fire as well. The only time I've experienced that is Michigan fans early in my career. I'm pretty much the way I'm talking to you guys right now is kind of how I talk on the air. Michigan fans, I've treated Michigan like any other team, but just being an Ohio State guy, it was like back in I want to say 97. We were up in Ann Arbor. Ohio State was undefeated. Michigan was undefeated. That was the year Michigan went on to win the national title with Woodson. And they threw like snow ice balls, hit me, in the chest, hit me in the back of the head. It was before we had the net up. I think that was what led to that. And somebody threw a full beer can one time and drilled, went right between Corso and I's head. and blew up. It came with some force. It blew up on the set when it landed. And I think after that, our bosses said, like you said, there's some strong opinions. People in college football, I think more so than the NFL.
Yeah.
They take stuff. You know what I mean? They take it really personally. And so, you feel that from time to time when we go out on the road. Again, we haven't been on the road in over a year now.
That's what makes college football, though. I love to like debate with people when we get to playoff time on Twitter. And people will sometimes be like, oh, man, like, why are you spending your time, like, an entire afternoon on a Wednesday debating with random people? Like, that's what I like. I like doing it because everyone is super passionate. There are debates, unfortunately, that we can't always decide on the field, but that's what makes college football college football.
Totally agree. It's subjective, right? I mean, even the playoff, we have a committee. No one really understands what's going on behind the curtain. Anything that you guys say on your show about college football, anything we say on our show, anybody who has an opinion at all, because it's subjective at the end of the day, it gets people really fired up because you're right. Like whether it's your NFL teams, if they finish 9-7 or whatever they finish, there's a tiebreaker, whether you go to the first, second, third, fourth, all the way down to the fifth tiebreaker, there's some way of establishing who's going to move on. And in college football, there's not. Like Texas A&M fans right now hate me. They hate anybody.
They hate me too. They hate me too.
They hate you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody who thought A&M shouldn't be in the top four, you're dead to them. And so next time we go down there, you'll feel that wrath. So you're right. That's what because I don't know. I don't feel that in the NFL as passionate as we all are in this country about football in the NFL, NBA, MLB. I mean, I guess it's the closest thing to European soccer, college football, just because of the way fans, they get sideways with you in a hurry if you disagree with their team or their player.
It also, I think, goes to the history of the game and the history of programs, and that's where you get like the crazy college football is when the expectations don't meet, reality. Whereas NFL, it's kind of, you can be good for a few years, you can be bad for a few years. It's not like, well, we need to restore ourselves to this tradition. Like, whereas college football, you have fan bases, Michigan, Nebraska, Texas, USC, who are saying like, we need to get back to what we were. It's like, well, maybe, I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know if you can.
You're totally right. And I don't know how you guys feel about this. I know you guys follow football and you're into it. How do you feel right now about college football, the way it's trending? That like the postseason, I think, is a frustration for a lot of fans because you got Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State every year. And then it's like, who's the fourth team going to be? I don't know how healthy that is for the sport. I don't know if there's ever been more of an emphasis on the high school player that's going to college on just where am I going to go for 3 years and bounce to the NFL? It's just all about the NFL. And I just feel that these high school going into college, these kids are missing out on an opportunity to really make a difference in the college game. Because if you have a great college career, that can set you up. Even if you don't become a brilliant NFL player, make millions of dollars, you can still have a great life. And I think these kids right now, they've never been more focused on the NFL. And it's like they don't even really plant their roots at their college stop. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a slippery slope right now for the game of college football.
There's definitely a problem, I think, at least from my perspective, with like a pipeline. So if you're an elite kid that's coming up, by the time you're in 8th grade and you're one of the best athletes, there's a pipeline that's already in place of, okay, here's the summer camps you need to go to, here are the guys you need to be working with, and we're going to feed you to like one of 4 schools. And then those 4 schools are going to continue to be great. And, it'll be great football on the field, but you will lose a little bit of that national aspect of the sport. So in my opinion, I feel like they do need to expand the playoffs, even though there's nothing I love more than having a UCF claim a national championship because they didn't get into the playoffs. That's why I was rooting for like Cincinnati this year. It's like the more teams that can just like claim that they won a national title, I think the better for the sport and for the conversation around it. But they need to expand it at least to like 8 teams minimum within the next couple years, I think.
I also think they need to do to specifically what you're saying, Kirk. Like, I think the thing I hate the most about college sports is when guys go pro and they go into the draft and they're told that they're going to be some, first round draft pick, lottery draft pick. They end up being a day 2, second round,
or not
drafted. and then they're kind of stuck because someone got in their ear and told them that they were going to be making millions of dollars next year. So I think the easiest fix right away, and we don't have to get into paying the players, there should be a rule that, 2 weeks after the draft, you can go back to college. You can say, I'm going back to college. This didn't work out the way I thought it was going to be. I went in the 7th round. I thought I was going to be a 3rd rounder. I hired an agent. I made a mistake. Let me go back and play some more college ball. I really do think that they should give that mulligan.
I love that. I love that. I think that I think college basketball, you guys have to tell me if that's still a case. I mean, if they don't contact an agent and they go into the NBA draft and it doesn't work out, can you still come back? It used to be that way.
Yeah, there's a new rule that you can basically test the waters and do tryouts and stuff, and then and so they made a little bit, but it's the same thing in college basketball where they need to make it so that a guy, you see it every single year, where a guy thinks he's a lottery pick and he ends up being a 2nd rounder, and then everything kind of changes from there, where he was told someone got in his ear for selfish reasons, and they're just a lot. I know they're not kids because they're 21 years old, but like. When I was 21, I was a fucking idiot. So I can say they're just kids.
Well, I think you're definitely onto it. I believe that the Power Five. There's a good chance if you listen to a lot of the talk, the Knights Commission, there's a chance they break off away from the NCAA, create their own governing body. And I think if they do that what you're suggesting might be one of the things that they might consider or have to look at, because we're at a spot right now. These kids, they listen to their agents, or their parents listen to these agents. They're told they're a 1st or 2nd rounder. They either go 2nd day or they end up not getting drafted. I think it was like 40% of the kids that declared early last year ended up not even being drafted. And you'd love to have an opportunity to be able to put them back on a college roster. I just think it's unfortunate that these kids, and I'm not trying to act like, listen to me, I'm just trying to help you. It's like you're going 80 miles an hour towards a bridge that's out, and I'm just trying to help you help yourself. And the thing is, if you go to play college football and you have a great career and you're kind of a humble dude that's gracious to people around you, Wisconsin, for example, when you're done, you're going to be taken care of in so many ways. People are going to want to help you in business. They're going to want to help you find a successful path in your life. And I just think all these kids now, they all think they're going to become Patrick Mahomes. They don't hope. They know they're going to become a guy that's making hundreds of millions of dollars. And I feel like we need to help them understand that's cool, man. Shoot for those goals. That's great. But when it doesn't happen, you need to have something to fall back on. And that's where I think the college experience is so important for these guys.
I agree. And I think that actually something that could help with that is if we went ahead and kind of advanced some of these like name and likeness type rules where while a kid's at school, you're encouraged to be part of the community because there are all sorts of sponsorships out there. Like if you're a backup or a rotational guy down in Starkville or something, and you're not going to make the NFL, you're not going to make millions of dollars, you're still bringing in a lot of money for the school. If you want to ingratiate yourself to that community, start doing local ads for a car dealership or whatever it might be, and they'll pay you some money while you're on campus. That's going to give you a further tie into the area even after you graduate, and you're also able to make a little bit more money while you're there. So I feel like that's a win-win situation for everybody involved.
Yeah, I think name, image, and likeness is going to be an interesting aspect of college sports and how they handle it, because I agree, it would be great. I think maybe you just up the scholarship and the cost of attendance. Name, image, and likeness. Let's say you're a 5-star recruit, and Alabama's recruiting, and Ohio State's recruiting, and USC's recruiting you. How often would name, image, and likeness come up? Hey, they're saying they're going to get you, $500,000 in name, image, and likeness. We can assure you $1 million in name, image. I don't know if that would come into play, but the thought of that, it almost becomes like the wild, wild west. So I don't know. Maybe there's an assurance of that we somehow get these guys a little bit more money. I have 2 kids in Clemson right now who are preferred walk-ons, and I can assure you that these college kids are not going around without money. They have plenty of money. I think sometimes there's a perception that they're being exploited or that they don't have money. Now, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he's one of the few guys, or Justin Fields, some of these guys that have really been out in the forefront or really the faces of the sport. That's really different. And what I think you're talking about is those guys could score. I mean, those guys could definitely take advantage, whether it's jersey sales or just going down to, like you say, a local mall and signing autographs. There's no doubt about that. Or even based on how many followers you have on social
Right,
media.
yeah.
Hey, tweet this many times. And, so there's opportunities out there, but I would hate for the boosters to get involved and it become the wild, wild west, because I think that would be dangerous for the sport.
As opposed to what it is right now. But
Even worse.
Yeah, let me get some breaking news, though, from you. If the name, image, and likeness, they figure this all out, and we actually do get the greatest video game ever created back, NCAA college football, will you do it? Will you call it? Will you be the voice of it like you were when it was still around in 2014?
Man, my kids play it, the 14 game. They download the rosters. My youngest son in 8th grade, he's into it. One of the greatest honors I ever had, because I grew up a gamer myself. I started with Bill Walsh College Football, and then it became NCAA. And Joey Galloway and I it's embarrassing how many hours we used to play. And I hated Joey because me and the other guys, a guy named Big D and another guy named Snoop, we would all play. And it was embarrassing. Joey would bring out like Ball State and beat us. And he would not use Florida or like one of his good teams. And and he's just so cocky on how he would play. But we would play hours. We went between that, NBA Live, NHL Live. Those are like all of our games. And but the college football game, it's so much better for me than the Madden game because of the option part of it and QB run.
Yeah.
So that was like I said, one of my great honors when they asked me to go from playing the game to being on the game. I would love to do that and hope to get an opportunity once that game comes back.
Okay. Done.